Hi, this is Elizabeth Estel, Homeschool Christian Mom, and I'm going to try a live video today. It didn't work last night at 8 o'clock. I just couldn't get the internet connection. I suppose everyone's on at that time of day. I'm starting today with just a little art project if you need something to do with your students. There's a silhouette of a girl here, and we're talking about positive and negative space with a silhouette. So you can ink that in or color it in with a marker, get it nice and dark. And then this is a crayon drip. And we did this with a heat gun, not a blow dryer. If you do it with a blow dryer, you'll have crayon bits all over. So we held the paper differently this way, and it came out as a nice art project if you need something to do with your students. So perhaps that will help you today. And then I was just going to talk to you a little bit. Thanks for joining me. I'm today about teaching writing. Now, I don't know how your schools are doing it with you, if they're having you do the writing projects and then they're grading them, or they're just talking about some of the writing projects, but I thought I would just talk about maybe the projects that you're doing with your children now. So generally you introduce these at the beginning of the week and you have an example for them. So if they're doing a news story, you talk about how news story writing is a little different than other writing. Or if you're doing an essay, you talk about the format for an essay with an introduction, 3 supporting points, and a conclusion. Or perhaps if you're talking about writing a little fictional story for children, you talk about how you have a plot and the characters and a conflict and some resolution. So whatever kind of writing you're doing, you introduce it at the beginning of the week with examples. And then by Wednesday of the week, they should have a rough draft to you. Now that helps them get started on the project, and it also helps you to know where they are and how they're thinking, so that you know that they're on the right track and they know they're on the right track. So it's a little back and forth there, and you can say, yes, you've got a good start here. This is what else I'm looking for, if you can include these ideas. And you might want to check your capitalization, punctuation, and spelling, just as a reminder to them. Now on Thursday, they can present to you what they want to be their final draft. And that's another opportunity for you to say, okay, this content looks wonderful and I really love it, but there's 2 run-on sentences in there and I want you to try to find them and correct them. And when those are corrected, I'll accept your paper. And then everything is due on Friday. So you've had these interactions about the writing all week, and on Friday you collect the final draft. And so you're they're ready for it and you're ready for it. Now you're going to grade this in 2 parts. The one is for content. Did they meet the criteria of the assignment as far as the kind of writing that they did? And the second part is on mechanics, and that's your capitalization, punctuation, and spelling, or whatever else you have told them that you're grading them on. And this way, even if they get the content completely right, but they miss some spelling, they don't get a poor grade. You've averaged that out. And we call this using a rubric. And I do have another article on Homeschool Christian Mom about don't spend too much time grading your kids' papers. And that's one of the things that I discussed there, is that you're managing how you're grading. So even if every single word was spelled wrong, but they got the content right, you're acknowledging that, so you're not discouraging them. And then also with writing, you have to be careful that you're using grade level expectations. So if you have a 4th grader that's writing, you're not expecting 8th grade work. Or if you have an 8th grader that's writing, you're not expecting the same as you would out of a senior. So you have to manage those expectations. I have known moms that spent hours and hours and hours with their kids grading every sentence. Well, it would have been better if you had put it like this, or well, it would have been better if you had changed this, the sentence order, or well, why didn't you look up these facts, and why didn't you put this in your paper? That is the kind of stuff you do at the beginning of the week with your student, and then you let them put it in for Friday. You don't help them rewrite their paper. Now, if you have a child that really doesn't understand the kind of writing you're expecting or has really missed the mark, instead of just going over their paper with them, I recommend that you model and write your own paper with them, and you explain, now this is why I put in this point, and this is why I worded it like this, and I had to look up the spelling of this word. And you model that with them, and maybe you model a couple of the writing assignments with them, and then push them out on their own again, and let's see if they can do it. Most children want to be able to express themselves well with writing and communication. Some children have a hard time with the actual physical writing of it, and I've had to do it before where I was sort of the scribe, or you can do a voice to text program so that they can still have success with this, with their communication, but they're not having to do the physicalness of writing. And that's okay. They'll get it later. I had one child that had a very difficult time with the writing part of it until he had some friends that he wanted to write notes to or type to. And then later with his job, he was required to write things out by hand, and because of the motivation of the work and the paycheck, it was a lot easier for him to do his writing. So we can make these adjustments for our students, and it's not cheating. We're helping our children succeed and moving them forward educationally, and that's our goal. We're not trying to make everybody into nuclear physicists. We're just trying to move them forward in their educational process. And I know there's a lot of weight and burden on moms, and we want our kids to succeed, and we have a lot of mom guilt. I think it comes through the labor and delivery process, but for whatever reason we have it, and we need to say, no, I'm doing the best I can for my kids, and we're moving them forward. I do recommend having positive and negative consequences for work not done and done, so you have that motivation. Most of us have trouble with intrinsic, inside ourselves motivation to do things. We do the same things with ourselves. Well, when I get this room clean, I'm going to go out with my girlfriend and we're going to get ice cream together. And we put motivational things in our own lives, and we need to remember that for our children as well. So I hope that this helps you as you're teaching writing and teaching your children. And if you have any other questions, put them in the comments and I'll answer them later. Thanks for joining me, and have a great day.